and welcome back to Dharma In Motion with me, Tanphaichitr. We're still with Dr. Kongsak Tanphaichitr, who is, you work in the US most of the time, and we're so glad that you could make it to the show. You'll be staying here until the end of the month?
The month, yes, correct.
And you have to go back to teach there
Right.
again. Let's just get to another point in your recent symposium here on this subject about mind and the science of mind and mindfulness.
Right.
This is pretty much regarding meditation and discovering ourselves.
It's discovering on scientific finding, which is very startling, because when you say look at a person's face, or you look at a place that you visit. I said you go on vacation in Hawaii, and you see, and the brain lit up in certain area. And when you think of it, like you're at home now, you think of Hawaii, it lit up the same place of your brain. Or you think of your girlfriend or boyfriend, it lit up the same place as if you were looking at his or her face.
So the brain retains the information in certain areas. Let's say Hawaii, it will be retained in certain parts.
In the temporal lobe here. So,
and when we think of that object or places, it shows the activity in that area back again. Okay.
This is very important because in Buddhism, like many masters and the Buddha himself said, we suffer because of our own thoughts. And this is how the thought act when you think of something like just flashing your memories, your friend or your foe from 10 years ago. It came flashing your brain, and you from that point on, it stuck in that thoughts, biased thoughts. So either love or hate. It's like bias, not unbiased. That's why the middle path is about unbiased. So you're stuck in the bias, and then it starts into, they call 7 more steps of Chavanajit, or impulsion. Like each thought moment is like 17 mind moment. It's called Vitijit. And in there, like say, so you see people walk in the room, your mind just left the previous thought to start in the flash of that person walking in, and then your brain would recognize. See, the thing is, when you see thing, your eye just do the job by in the back of the eyeball, the retina, register it. That's the end of the eye organ. From that point on, it formed turn into electrical impulse and go to the back of your brain called visual cortex. And then from that point on, it's called Chakku Vinyan. The eye is called Chakku Twa Ravachanajit. Chakku Vinyan will register electrical impulse there. And then from that point, I call receiving into the temporal lobe, supratemporal lobe, called cortex. And then it will investigate first, and then interpret, determining. And then they said this is the color, motion, shape, position, and size. Would tell this is a parrot or person, and you can tell. And then from that point on, it's called pure perception yet. Perceptive, called perceptive processing. And then will be a different part of the brain do conceptual processing, like the middle and infratemporal cortex in the frontal lobe. It's about a thought and so on. Interpret like this is, I love this. I love that parrot. I hate that guy that walked in the room. So that's 7 step of Chavanajit, or impulsion. And then the last two, Tata Lampanajit, which is about registering what you have seen. So you say, oh, I encounter him, I hate that guy. Or I love that girl, and so on. So at the last two, registering. So this match with the science and what they described over 2,500 years ago.
Basically, the brain, as you said, is segmented into the perceptual part and the conceptual part. As explained in common terms, the perceptual part is pretty much like when we receive an image using the digital camera.
Exactly, like fiber optic.
Right.
Like you scope down there, you can see
you have that sensor to register
through the fiber.
The lights.
Each one is a spot.
As for the conceptual, How does it work?
This is how we indulge in things, and they call it brain dark energy.
Brain dark
Energy.
energy.
It sucks up your energy. The brain uses about 20% of your body energy, but it's only weigh about 10% of your body, had about 1 trillion cells. But it consumes a lot of energy, double its weight. And when you do perceptual processing, it's only consumed 0.5 to 1%, like you see a parrot, that's the end of it. But then you're stuck in your head, love or hate. I heard that bird make too much noise, instead of love it. Most people love it. So that part, it make play with your brain in your life.
And that sucks up the energy.
Yeah, it's called brain dark energy. Like say when you do exam or we interview like this, you focus there. You're not having a slip mind. But when you say you have a drink, have a break, and a girl may pour a lot of sugar in there because she's daydreaming somewhere. Yeah, the resting, they call it resting network or default network. The brain, even when the name is resting, but it's very active. Like when you idle your car, ready to run, but it sucks up a lot of energy there. Siphon 60 to 80% there. If you're not watching it, it sucks you there in the thought and concept. The Buddhism said the perceptual processing is real. They call it four ultimate reality.
Okay.
Chit, cetasik, rupa, nibbana. Chit is mind, cetasik mental activities, which has feeling, perception, and thought formation. Rupa is form, and nirvana, or nibbana, is the ultimate peace and happiness. It's no conditioning and so on. It's transcend that. So those are real. That's what we meditate, called sabhavatam or paramattatam, the ultimate reality. But the thought is not real, because you can just think of it, dream of it, it pop up, but it gives you the same consequence. You suck up in the dark energy, it drains you into greed-headed delusion. So you have a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend, at the end of the day you can't sleep, can't eat, you feel like fatigue because it's sucked up into that thought.
So that's why
Mindfulness
when we get up in the morning, we feel quite fresh, and the brain has rested, and they're ready to function purposefully in the beginning. By the end of the day, it's tiring.
You can work all day, and mindfulness, self-awareness. You can refresh yourself all the time. Then we wake up, we have a full self-awareness. It's called Chit Prapat-son.
Chit Prapat-son.
It's called mind is luminous. The Buddha called it like mind is luminous. Luminous mind is just, or Prapat-son, it's just a mundane mind, ordinary mind. It's not the enlightened mind yet.
Okay.
You need to practice to gain there. But he said, but it's tainted with transitory mental impurities called akhantuka kilesa. Akhantuka, as you know, means guest, but he's the uninvited guest, but he like to come in. So that means the pure mind doesn't have that. It's not true nature of your mind. Akhantuka, whether you invite him or not, as soon as you wake up, you're fresh, but then you think about you have to drop your son or your daughter at the school because she had exam today, but you also have a big meeting coming up. So everything kind of conflicting, stressful, bias start to settle in, and so on. And then you kind of suck up in this, drain you, like with greed-headed delusion.
So in Buddhism teaching, how does the Buddha preach on part of how do we get nearer to that transcendence into more peaceful and a better state of mind?
We have an intuitive wisdom in every one of us. It's called Buddha nature, Buddha seed. Regardless of age, sex, race, literacy, dialect, profession, or even religious belief. We have this power to see the true nature of things as it is, but we cover it up with our bias all the time. Say, what will I get out from doing this job or this interview and so on? It's wrong because you have a hidden agenda. Okay, so your boss throw you a piece of work to do, and so you hate the job. You see the bias set of it. Instead of doing it with the full consciousness and full attention, and you get enjoying it, get to enjoy it instead of suck up in your
Do
bias.
it because you have to do it.
Yeah, we have hidden agenda everywhere when we do things and so on. So we need to clear our mind, see, with this self-awareness. And you refresh yourself that way. You work enjoying your life. Like when you walk, you can do walking meditation at the same time. With the normal pace, no one would know it because you're aware of every step you're taking. Not to focus too deep on the step, but aware of each step. You just know the bodily movement. So when you start to aware of your bodily movement, then you start to see your mind movement, which is your thought, biased thought especially. It clears you from this brain dark energy.
Speaking about brain energy and thought, it makes me think of this one book written a few years back, The Secret, that they mention about setting your mind to your goal and concentrate on that with positive energy, and the similar kind of energy would be drawn in the universe somehow, makes us closer to what we aim for. Is that?
It's like determination. You set up your goal. In terms of Buddhist meditation, it's said when you meditate, you don't anticipate the consequence. You just set up the goal and determine to reach the goal. That's all you need to do. Don't anticipate. And when you meditate, don't focus too deep. Just acknowledge it. And once you're aware of yourself, don't intervene. Don't intervene into, like, say, the glorification of this walking meditation. Some people walk like little thieves. Like a little step, as if he's going to miss his step. No, you should walk naturally. Don't burden yourself. Just enjoy walking, enjoy talking, enjoy doing your job, and so on.
Let's speak about the process in the walking. We'll take a look at the photos there as well. The steps.
The step
walking
itself, just be aware of it. Just like a strolling in the park. Just be aware.
But be mindful of each of the step and
right,
feel
just know your bodily movement.
That present.
Right. Like when I was young, I know how to do meditation, walking meditation, before I know how to meditate, because they have a lot of memorization. So I would carry my book and just walk back and forth.
Is it necessary to make this kind of walking meditation in a peaceful, serene environment, or it could be done in the space of your office around the table?
Yeah, you have like 4 or 5 step walk back and forth. You can do it. Or if you don't have space, I do walking meditation with my hand with Long Po Tien. Let's make dynamic meditation.
Like this?
Yeah, this 14 step. Like you aware when you tilt up your palm. Lift it up, you're aware of it. Bring it down, you're aware of it. Tip your left palm, you're aware of it. Do this, and bring it down, you're aware. Slide your right palm up, you're aware. Bring it out, you're aware. Turn it down, turn it down. So this is one cycle. This has no meaning. Don't do it in public, because then you're crazy. In public, you do this.
Okay.
Or you do this. You can do this. You can sense, try it. You sense it? Very sharp. Very refined.
Especially on the tips of the...
Yeah, that's where your mind is. Mind doesn't have a residence anywhere in your brain. It's wherever you sense, that's where your mind. So that's why the Buddha said mind is luminous. And it's incorporeal, travel far in the thought. And over 100 years now, that's neuroscientists or scientists have tried to locate the mind somewhere in the brain. They couldn't find it. Because it's a massive parallel computation. When you say, like, say we have like a group of friends, 50 people, to do one task, to go together to take papa to one temple. Everyone come together at the same time and do that job, take the money tree of benevolence, papa, and take it to the temple. Same way, the brain want to do one job, like different part of the brain, like to read a script on one page, take about 16 part of your brain to come with a massive parallel computation, re-entrance, re-entry. It's that brain is very complex, the most complex organ in the universe. But they say in about 2045, computer would be 1 billion times more powerful than our brain. But who will write the software? So you may have the most powerful, but
computing machine, but the
yeah,
software.
more powerful in crunching numbers.
Uh-huh.
So brain is so complex. It's synapse and different parts of the brain. Like we talk about the perceptual processing, the conceptual processing. Different parts of your brain, like 16, 17 parts come together.
And the person, according to the studies that you've seen, when he or she meditate versus the person who does not, does it show in the differences of the brain function? Is it better in any way, the connection of synapses and others?
The main thing they show that they lit up the left prefrontal cortex, which is, has been shown in previous study that people who are happy also lit up in the same part of the brain. So he said that Tibetan monk was the happiest person in the world because they never see anything lit up so bright. And he hears a lot of gamma wave.
With this Tibetan monk that we've seen in the studies, how does he live his life?
Yeah, he meditated a lot. Like this group of monks meditate 10,000 hours up to 50,000 hours.
That's a long
in
time.
His life, like about, like we work about in America, like 2,080 hours
for
per
2-3 decades.
Oh yeah, at least 5 years or more. We work 8 hours a day, 50 weeks. That means 2,080 hours in average American work. So about 10,000 hours, like 4 times that. But you know, he also meditates on his free time too. Like we only work 8 hours a day. So it's about like at least 5 or 10 years of his meditation.
Well, as for people who lives, who dwells in the metropolitan, given the traffic condition, political situations, and a lot more stress in the environment, including his work and family matters, what would you suggest on their daily lives? How could they improve their mental condition?
Just be aware of your bodily movement. I talk with my hand. It's my nature. It catch with self-awareness, and it feed on itself. When I move my hand, I have self-awareness. And self-awareness.
I kind of like this feeling.
Yeah, we all have this. It's called self-awareness on bodily aspect. It's a fresh feeling, and it's not unbiased. And it turned out the bodily perception, bodily contact, is the largest perceiving organ in our body. We have our eyes very small, but we can see so far. Very nosy. Why the eyes so nosy? Ears you can hear out that room, not in this room. So, but the body, we have 1.73 square meters. Very huge. He said.